Hi, good evening, all of you. Today I'm going to talk about one of the greatest prison literature ever written. That is, yet again, one of my favorite writers, Dostoyevsky's Notes from the House of the Dead, or Notes from the Dead House. Again, Dostoyevsky points towards the fact that beauty and hope combined together will save the world. Here, Dostoyevsky stands in sharp contradistinction to Nietzsche. Nietzsche, who says that hope is the greatest of all evil, for it prolongs the torment of mankind. No, Dostoevsky contradicts it. Dostoevsky contradicts the statement of Nietzsche by saying that no, it is at the end that the beauty of the common people and the hope, even in the most hopeless of the situation, will help humanity redeem itself. And that is for one single biggest reason we ought to read Notes from the Dead House. So it all started when Dostoevsky was subjected to a Serbian prison camp for advocating some kind of communism to some of the youths in Russia. And during those days in the prison camp, when he suffered from a lot of fits and seizures and lot of neurotic disorder that was to follow Dostoevsky for the rest of his life, where he undergone a sea change and transformation in his personality, that he came to produce a very objective account of what goes inside of a prison life and what goes inside the mind of the so-called prisoners, the so-called unconscionable liars, the so-called murderers. And are we to find anything of beauty, anything of lasting hope in them? A common answer is no. But Dostoevsky's answer is an emphatic yes. Let me read out a quote verbatim from Dostoevsky's writing itself. When he says that how much youth was interred here between these walls for no purpose? What great forces has perished in here to no avail? This has got to be said, all of it openly. The people here were extraordinary people. Perhaps they possessed the most talent and the greatest strength of all our people. And yet this great strength perished here, and perished unnaturally, unlawfully, irrevocably. Who is to blame for this? And this question, who is to blame for this, is a metaphysical question that is posed by a man who is condemned to prison, who is condemned to death. Perhaps accidentally, and he is not coming out of it. He doesn't seem to come out of it. And yet, without succumbing to the prison's life, he is still hoping against hope that he will rise and he will find a meaning. So it's the book is about the idea of a living dead. Living dead are those prisoners who are interned in the camp. And the camp is the Serbian camp. So Dostoevsky tried to find a sense of meaning, and is there anything that can be derived from such prison life? Let me read one quote from Ivan Turgenev verbatim to his letter to Dostoevsky, where he says, Ivan Turgenev says that I am most grateful for the two issues of the prison's life you sent me, which I have read with great enjoyment, particularly your Notes from the Dead House. There's a bathroom scene that Ivan Turgenev refers to. So this bathroom scene is simply Dantean in its approach, and your portrayal of the different character, there is much subtle, accurate psychology. So this book has also to be read for its psychological nuances, has also to be read for understanding that not all those who are condemned are really bad, and there is so much of goodness to be found among those so-called bad people, which otherwise you would not have found except for the writings of Dostoevsky. Well, let me point towards one more quote verbatim that is one of my favorites from this, which I would like to read. As Dostoevsky says that he doesn't want us to judge. Instead, he allows the convict to tell their own story, making us see that they're still very much human. And then Dostoevsky makes a profound claim that one has to remove the outer superficial husk and look at the kernel within attentively, closely and without prejudice. And one will see in the common people things one had no inkling of, one had no hint of. there is not much that our men of learning can teach the common people. I would say even the reverse, that it is they who should take a few lessons from the common people. And that is why this prison notebook, needs to be read. It remains a canonical literature in a sense that it has influenced, the number of prison literatures that came afterward. Okay, and not only that, it also acts as a prologue to it's a great divide in Dostoyevsky's work, and it also acts as a prologue to some of the writing that was about to come, or that would come in the later half of 1860s. For example, The Gambler, for example, Notes from the Underground, for example, Crime and Punishment, for example, White Nights. So this great book remains as a prologue to all such great writing, especially to one of his greatest books, as critique says, that is Crime and Punishment. So this book has to be read as a prologue to Crime and Punishment. And above all, just one thing I would like to to sum up this book in one line, and it is that the people, today's world that has become increasingly cruel, the world that bays for the blood of the marginalized convicts, the poor convicts, who are knowingly or unknowingly languishing in jail for years and years, and people are baying for their blood, people are asking for capital punishment, people are asking them to be hanged till death. So this book has to be read in order to get into the objective nuances of a man condemned to death, and why he should not be condemned to death, why he needs to be saved from the gallows, and why emphatic heart and a thinking heart and a sensible heart is the answer to all the cruelties of the world. For that you need to read this. So please go ahead. Thank you.